triggering change, one heartbeat at a time. Battle for freedom. Welcome, everyone. This is Watson Prunier from Battle for Freedom on Mojo 50 Radio, and I'm glad that you are joining me this day as we start another season of hilarity, craziness, and so much more. My name again, Watson Prunier from Battle for Freedom on Mojo 50 Radio. Sorry, folks. Late day of working yesterday, slow start this morning, and I am going to get myself a lot of American Pride Roasters coffee just to wake up and get this day started the correct way. American Pride Roasters coffee. Listen, go to AmericanPrideRoasters.com. The wide variety of different flavors. I could tell you to get Watson's White Chocolate Caramel because of the fact that I'm going to be partial to that flavor. But you have Izzo's Rage, you have the Madison, you have Ron Sexual Chocolate, and so many different other blends that you can enjoy from the official coffee network of American Pride Roasters. Pray that I'm able to wake up and grab some thoughts, grab some brain skills here so that I can communicate with every last one of you. Again, American Pride Roasters Coffee, start this day off the correct way. I want to say thank you for those who decided they wanted to join. They decided to go to facebook.com/Mojo50 Radio so they can interact with the program. I see Cheryl, Linda, Christopher, Lep, Sarah, Renee. I want to make sure I'm not missing anyone here, but thank you very much for joining and being part of the program today. Listen, we are a happy little Friday. Yes, it's almost Friday. And, you know, I have a common saying, and I say to a lot of friends when we're on the phone, I'm like, is it Friday yet? Because of the fact that I just can't wait till the end of the weekend gets here. But yesterday was just a long day of work. And so just work with me, folks, as we get through a lot of these topics. Today, you know what? I'm going to talk to you about the ugly truth, the war of the poses, the war of the poses. The reason why I get into this is because of the fact that there's this like illusion that success brings all this happiness, that political power brings all this happiness. And we need to get into the ugly truth, and we need to start talking about this. If you've ever seen the movie The Ugly Truth, it's with Gerard Butler and Katherine Heigl. But when you look at the picture that I have, for those of you who are on iHeartRadio, let me kind of describe this picture to you. I'm using the cover photo of The Ugly Truth movie with Katherine Heigl and Gerard Butler. But over Katherine Heigl's face is a picture of the Republican Party. Over the picture of Gerard Butler is a picture, a logo of the Democrat Party. Fraud, scam, danger, theft, and and there's an image of the emperor has no clothes. Because of the fact that, you know what, we're putting a lot of our faith, we're putting a lot of our frustrations into these political parties, believing that they're going to be the ones that's going to turn this country around. And the ugly truth of it is they're not going to do anything. I mean, right now we have Republicans in Michigan who keep flip-flopping on their certifications of the votes. Whether the threats are being made, I don't know. It doesn't matter, but there should be no question on speaking out against the corruption taking place in the election process. And a lot of people right now, they're caught up in this, and I believe that there's a lot of danger that's about to present itself because of the fact that people are about to be exposed. Things that people don't like about Donald Trump is, his goal of choosing to drain the swamp. Thank you, Carrie and Jillian, for joining. That we have this idea of him draining the swamp. Well, it's not just the left that has presented themselves as corrupt to the core. There are many people who are on the right side of the aisle who have done the same thing as well. And we have a responsibility to start replacing these people. But the ugly truth of it is it won't get better as long as we have unprincipled people running for office. As long as we have unprincipled people from the highest parts of office all the way down to the lowest, seemingly most innocent and ineffective place in office. So the ugly truth is the war of the poses. We have to stop getting people who are opposing to be people of character and people of substance, and really start putting in people who do matter. Good morning, Carolyn. Thank you for joining. And thank you, Josh and Jill, who are the Epsteins who are part of this program. So as we sit here, the ugly truth, let's get into one of the ones that I kind of caught this one this morning. It's kind of sad because this family is just plagued with a lot of pain. Bobby Brown's son, Bobby Jr., 28, is found dead at his LA home 5 years after the death of his half-sister, Bobby Christina, and 8 years after his stepmother, Whitney Houston, drowned in a bath. So one of the things that's really sad about this is, with all the fame, I was a New Edition fan. I remember in 1984 singing, "Is This the End?" Am I going to try and sing it at the level that they did? No, I'm not. You hear my voice. You hear the bass. There's no way I'm going to go up to high tenor this early in the morning and call the dogs and the wolves and the coyotes out from their hiding spaces. It's really sad that here it is, Bobby Jr. is the second child of the R&B singer to have lost his life. And this home seems to be plagued with death. I'm not saying that death doesn't happen, but when do we start realizing that all the money, all the glitz, all the glamour, none of it really helps? I remember my wife and I, we actually went, was it the John Legend concert? No. We went to see New Edition in concert. My wife and I went to go see New Edition in concert. And Bobby was drunk. Bobby Brown was drunk when he came out on stage here in Indianapolis, Indiana. And it was heartbreaking. He was drunker than a skunk. It was a great concert, but man, we waited for Bobby to come out. And see, here's my thing is we sit here and you look at the ugly truth, is all that money, all that fame, all that power, all that glitz. It's like there's this drug that you have to realize that's stuck in the hearts of a lot of politicians, a lot of people who are in office, that once they get that power, it's difficult to let it go. See, we hate this idea about career politicians, but we have people who have been in office far too long. Not because they feel that they need to be there, but because they can't let the power go. Here's the question. Can you? I mean, literally. Here's the question. These are ways that I see sometimes that you can see people who are comfortable on letting power go. Well, no, I'll get into that another time. The ugly truth of it is power is something very difficult to let go. And people will do anything that they can to make sure that the people that threaten them the most never get into power. And so the Bobby Brown family has been trying to maintain and restore themselves back to former glory. And in all those efforts to be popular, in all those efforts to be famous, they're losing their lives. And it's sad. So pray for the Bobby Brown family. Pray for Bobby Brown. Pray for every other person who may be in his. Pray for anyone else who may be in that situation. This is heartbreaking. It is heartbreaking. I want you to do me a favor. There's a couple more people that I need you to pray for, please, because of the fact that these are, if you can, Stan and Marty. These are the names. It's a husband and wife, couple in Indiana here who they contracted COVID, part of a community I've served in. And the gentleman's a doctor, and his wife, both of them. The Stan is in the ICU right now, and just praying that you guys would just please, prayer warriors, lift up this family for me if you can. Stan and Marty, Marti. They need your prayers, and it would be appreciated if you could do that. It's the ugly truth. COVID is affecting some people, and COVID is not affecting. Here's the ugly truth: COVID is affecting some people, and there are other diseases that are affecting people. One of the things is really just it frustrates me, but I'm trying not to get myself all worked out about this. Is the idea that there are people who are going to lie about the nature of this disease called COVID, and I'm praying that those people be exposed There are some people who are posing about how severe this disease is and how we have to be locked down, and because people are doing this for power, purely for power. It's not to save lives. If the lockdown, if social distancing and all these other different things were about protecting and preserving lives, that means that the same laws would be created to protect the life in the womb. Period. There would be better laws protecting people from, like in San Francisco, they put needles out there to make it easier for drug addicts to shoot themselves up. Not stopping the problem that's actually killing them, but enabling them. So this language of trying to protect life and everything like that, I'm struggling to believe it. But for Stan and Marty, thank you for those who are laying your hands up in prayer for them. I really appreciate that. These is friends of the family and friends of a big community of believers and Christians. Again, please, I want to catch a comment that was basically made about this. Just talking about the drugs. I saw something here. Drugs are very ugly things. Destroys the person using them and the family they belong to as well. Amen. Amen. Thank you, Renee. That's the truth. It's the cold, hard truth. It's the ugly truth about this. When libertarians talk about, not being arrested for a victimless crime. I'm sorry, folks. There is no victimless crime. I mean, look at the Brown family. What was it? Whitney Houston died of Xanax and cocaine? Not a victimless crime. This is the ugly truth about our freedoms. And people will take their lives. People will do things. And because of the fact that we are relational individuals, okay? And again, if you haven't watched The Ugly Truth, it's great about relationships and the ugly truth about relationships and everything like that. And this is the sad part about it, is that this next one that just breaks my heart as we continue to allow ourselves to be devastated by evil, wicked individuals here. Man accused of beating an Atlanta woman he met online after on a Hinge dating app, and who was dead set on killing her because she wasn't worth the date cost, is arrested in New York. Let's see. They said that police in Kent, New York, arrested Benjamin Fancher, 31, on a warrant charge. Basically charging him with kidnapping, false imprisonment, and aggravated assault. Fancher is accused of brutally beating Brittany Carreri after taking her out on a date in Atlanta last week. And what's really sad about this is, we are relational beings. Many of us want to be in a relationship. I understand that. And I'm praying for those who are seeking a relationship. The biggest part about being in a relationship, being ready to be in a relationship, is being willing to experience some hurt. Not physical hurt. I'm not an advocate for beating up people, definitely not the person that you're in love with or you claim to be in love with. I'm sorry. You don't put your hands on. You do not beat up your spouse. You do not beat up your girlfriend. You do not beat up your boyfriend. You do not beat up your husband. You do not beat up your wife if you say that you love them. If you can't communicate without putting your hands on them, don't be in a relationship with them whatsoever. What's really sad, because of the fact that here it is, he didn't like the cost of the date. Dating, courting, there's an investment in money, in time, in emotions. And obviously there are a lot of people who want to be in a relationship, but they don't want the responsibilities and the problems and challenges that come with the relationship. What is it? Friends with benefits. See, we keep passing that phrase out for so long, but here's the ugly truth about that. That whole friends with benefit thing is nothing but a lie. Because honestly, friends wouldn't let friends just sleep casually with one another. Friends who want to actually enjoy the pleasures of a sexual relationship would do the right thing and put on a ring. And put on that commitment to God, saying, there will be no other person that comes in between this relationship. You're only posing when you say that you're friends and you carry on with the benefits. No. Because it's laziness, it's irresponsibility to sit here and say, I'm just going to basically enjoy the pleasures of marriage without the marriage commitment, and then say, I'm your friend. Yeah, I'm glad I satisfied you. I'll see you later. No, because both of you both leave wanting the very thing that you need that's provided in marriage if you're willing to work out the situation. Humble yourselves before God and actually do what's right. But that wasn't the only one. Here's another one, because that was a white couple. Here's a black couple where it happens. Chicago PhD student. This is the woman all the way to the left. For those of you seeing this. 37, shoots dead her ex-boyfriend, 44, after stalking him to his D.C. home 6 months after their 3-month relationship ended. Latasha Dix, 37, from Jacksonville, Florida, was arrested Saturday. Police say they found her kneeling at the victim, Terry Hickman's feet, holding a gun. Hickman was pronounced dead at the scene. Dix was later charged with murder. One person familiar with the former couple is said to have told the police they have dated for 3 months, breaking up in May. Dix is said to have then stalked Hickman. That person said the woman was stalking the decedent and that she was from out of state, but somehow found out where he resided. You want to talk about real? I was stalked. I had to deal not with one stalker, but 2 stalkers. Actually, I'm actively stalked right now online by someone I cut off a relationship with years ago who won't leave me alone. I said, move on. They said, okay, I'm sorry, I'm going to move on, but they keep stalking me. And there was another person who decided they want to stalk me, and this person was just as insane as this woman that's in this picture. I had to deal with a stalker. So much so that instead of believing me, a former church that I attended, believed this perfect stranger that came in because of the fact it was easier to not be challenged about the hypocrisy that was going on there at the time. And so they took in a stalker they barely knew 3 days instead of staying behind me and having my back for 8.5 years. I'd served for 8.5 years at this church, and they decided to let a stalker come in who moved from Philadelphia to Indianapolis. So I know the craziness of stalkers. See, and this is the thing about it is that, and again, this is a Chicago PhD student. This is a doctor. This is a doctor. This is a highly intelligent and motivated individual who couldn't be content, couldn't move on. And sometimes, I'm not lying to you, sometimes the crazy shows itself with the people when you meet them right off the bat. And sometimes we think that we can just handle their insanity. We can handle their craziness. And God's basically saying, you better step back. Step back. Because if you want to keep messing around with one who flew over the cuckoo's nest, you're going to basically be getting cuckooed by these crazy people. The ugly truth about it is that most times people are showing us who they are. They don't want to hide it. But we keep thinking that we can make the situation better. Raquel from room 13, she says, watching it so irresistible. You know what? I'm so glad. I am so glad I'm so appreciative of the woman who resisted me for so long to make room for my beautiful bride right now. That's the reason why I can have this shirt on that says, I love my wife. Yes. And Sarah Nichols says, as Beyonce once said, put a ring on it. Don't have sex before marriage. That's the only problem, though, is Beyonce is one of the biggest hypocrites in the world. Oh, my goodness. It's just, you're so funny, Raquel. Raquel from Room 13 with Eric. Check them out on the weekends. mojo50.com/schedule and look at some of the things going on. Renee says, cook some grits and send Medea after her. Holy cow, yeah, that's so funny. Yeah, send some grits and then hot grits. That'll fix that'll fix the problem every time. The ugly truth. You sit here and you learn things about people. This next story It's sad. It's heartbreaking because being a New Yorker, and I know you're probably going to say it's petty. You're probably going to say it's petty, it's superficial, it's materialistic. Let's get into the story here. The perfect tree for 2020? Rockefeller Christmas tree looks a little worse for wear after a 185-mile journey, but it'll get a spruce up before the big reveal. Critics slam Rockefeller Christmas tree over photos after 2-day transport. Some claim the sickly-looking tree was the perfect symbol for 2020. The tree clapped back on Twitter and saying, "Just wait until I get my lights on." It follows a similar controversy over Cincinnati's tree in Fountain Square. Listen, understand this. I've been in New York. I worked a block over from Rockefeller Center for 3 years. And so I got a chance to participate in seeing beautiful trees laid out there. You can't tell me that you couldn't have found a better looking tree than this. But this is the direction. See, honestly, let's go back to that horrid looking tree. Because there's just certain parts of American culture and history that always has to have like this glossy, beautiful look. And the tree at Rockefeller Center is definitely one of those. And so when you sit here and you look at this dilapidated, pathetic looking tree, it only shows you a stark representation of even the former glory. I mean, the lack of glory that's even in New York and around, and beautiful cities and beautiful countries around, beautiful counties and states around this country. As you sit there and you look at the dilapidated tree, that's actually the condition of many people in America who is completely exposed, looking dilapidated, and has a broken presentation of who they are. That you have to see, this is literally, when you look at this tree, it's not because of 2020 and all the horrors that came with it. I'm not lying to you. I believe that this dilapidated tree is a representation of many of us today. It's a representation of many of us today in how broken and how sloppy and how just torn. And we need a lot of dressing on the outside, but we still haven't done anything about the real nakedness and bareness of our souls that is just in horrible, horrible condition. The ugly truth about this is, we have a lot of people going through a lot of situations. I want to roll back to this whole COVID nonsense. You know, COVID nonsense, we were locked down. We were told we couldn't go shopping. We had to be restricted on what we were going to do, and certain people couldn't do anything. How many of us actually served the people who couldn't help themselves in the midst of this whole pandemic? How many of us basically sat there and we showed the love of Christ and we ministered to those and we helped those who couldn't provide for themselves? I remember stories going back months ago of old senior citizens who were the most vulnerable to this virus, and many of them were wondering, stores had to make certain hours for them to come in and shop first when they never should have been out there in the first place. We're about to go into another lockdown, okay? Make no mistake about it, it's going to happen. Who are the senior citizens that you're serving to make sure that they have what they need so they don't have to go to the store and compromise themselves? As much as I don't like the masks, as much as I don't like the lies of COVID-19, I have to reach out to at least 2 of my neighbors right now just to make certain that when the lockdown happens again, I let them know we're here for you. We can get whatever you need. Don't sacrifice. Do not compromise your health and your safety by putting yourselves out there, and we have to worry about you. Can you do the same thing too? I already have 2 that I know I need to serve. Can you do the same thing too? There are a lot of senior citizens who need our help. There are a lot of families who will need our help. That in this time, is this because I think that the second lockdown time is coming around again. Now, people may mean it for evil, and God is saying, I want to make this for good. How are you going to be my hands and feet, the light and salt in your community to make a difference and let people know that I'm here and that I care? Folks, the ugly truth about it is if we fail this second time around, God will judge us. God will judge us with great vehemence. I'm your host, Watson Creator for Battle4Freedom. Let's do this. Let's go to a break, and I'll talk to you on the flip side.
This election will be vital to the health and sustainability of our country. Our role from this day on could steer the election in either direction. Why? The way we treat one another. In John 13:35, Jesus says, "By this all people will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another." We know that every election cycle brings out the worst in us. If there was ever a point for honesty, it is in how we act during election season. As much as we would want our candidate to win, attacking a person with contrary opinions only makes them determined to reject our point of view all the more. It may come off as ignorant from them, but we cannot claim innocence if we allow arrogance and disrespect to be the means in which we communicate with those who support the other party or other candidates. Our goal was and will never be to convert voters. Our role is to give them the information needed prior to them casting their vote. It is their choice and right of what they do with that information. Understand, more people are aware of the political corruption and hypocrisy than they wish or want to admit. So there's nothing for us to prove. Choose to be people who invoke change rather than people who irritate and strain. Dale Carnegie once wrote, "A man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still." In other words, give people the room to make their own mistakes. Without seeing that they were wrong, they would be blind to see what is right. Remember, every soldier present and gone have fought for the right of every American citizen to vote their own conscience. To insult and ridicule people for exercising their liberty to vote for their candidate is to also desecrate the efforts, memories, and sacrifices made by our heroes for said liberty. Please, show respect. Our nation depends on it.
Welcome back, everyone. This is Watson Prunier from Battle for Freedom and Mojo Fiverr Radio. Listen, my website, Battle4Freedom.com. From there, I want you to do me a favor, share it out as many people as you possibly can, because I'm hoping that I can encourage many of you as we get through another week. I saw a meme yesterday that says, "Today marks the 5th year of 2020. And you know that's the truth. 2020 has been a challenge for far too many people. Honestly, as I sit here trying to help you, I've been realizing where 2020 has presented itself as a challenge for me. I've recognized where 2020 has presented itself as a challenge for me, and I'm doing the best that I can to respond better, do better, serve better, be more consistent. So please do me a favor and just do your best to try and be an encouragement as you possibly can. So if I'm correct, I saw something. Someone said it is Raquel Lee's birthday. Really? Well, I'm going to have to do this. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Raquel. Happy birthday to you and many more. I'll take the check for that in the mail and make sure it doesn't bounce like the last one. But as we sit here talking about the whole idea of meeting and helping everyone out, yes. So she said, Raquel said, "Sorry, but we are setting it up as mediocrity society, so it stands to reason that Rockefeller's century is going to be mediocre. But let's spruce it up with lights." I definitely agree, spruce it up with lights. But this is and I heard that Oregon's already in lockdown. Just very sad, very, 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 very sad. Oh my goodness, this is just too funny as we sit here looking at this. So, for those who make the request, for those who make the request, and just another one for you, Raquel.
Watson!
There you go. There's a thing for you. For those of you who are trying to recover from this and you try to make sense, listen, one of our hosts right now, or not one of our hosts, one of our sponsors, It's New Life Holistic, and we appreciate everything that they do. Take a listen to this for a second as I wind up for this second segment on talking about the ugly truth.
Does your mind seem like it often shuts down before it even starts? Sounds like you need to detox to improve your health in body, mind, and spirit. I'd like to tell you about New Life Holistic. It is an amazing therapy process that uses neurofeedback and biofeedback for many issues that ails everyone. New Life's method and approach to health, balance, energy, and vitality is what sets it apart from anything you have experienced ever before. Call 1-833-4-BIO-LIFE and tell them Watson from Battle4Freedom had sent you. One more thing. Give them the code MOJO50 and save $50 off of your first session. The consult is free. New Life Holistic.
New Life Holistic. So I'm already getting, you know what, folks, this is what you do. If you want personal requests for birthday, you just send that request in to Mojo, and this is how we're gonna do it. You want a birthday request? I'm asking you donate a gift of at least $5 to Mojo50 Radio, and I will make a personal video for you every one of your birthdays. So go to mojo50.com/donate and donate at least $5, and I will give you a personal video, and I will make it as unique as I possibly can, okay? Because this is about growing the network and also blessing you at the same time. If you really love my voice, or maybe you're giving them $5 to keep me quiet, your choice. mojo50.com/donate. Your choice on how you want to do this. Let's get back into the ugliness of New York for a second here, because again, you have to understand something. Everybody thinks, you remember when the Big Apple was like this thing to appreciate? You remember when the Big Apple was called the city that never sleeps? You remember when they were just one of those things that it was just so awe-inspiring of New York. I mean, me working in Manhattan, me working on Madison Avenue, me working a block over from Rockefeller Center, me taking the bus to the train to the subway to work, one way to work, every day of the year. It was phenomenal. It was wonderful. It was something that there was a movie that came out, a little bit before me working in Manhattan, but oh my goodness, one of my favorite actors was Michael J. Fox. Politically, I may not agree with him, but just him as a actor, I appreciate him. From Family Ties, was it Family Ties to actually even Doc Hollywood to, of course, the Back to the Future series and things like that. But there was this one movie he did that, honestly, I'm not lying to you, it was like a mirror of my life, minus some of the aspects of the movie. It was Bright Lights, Big City. Bright Lights, Big City. So you sit here and you think about the glory of New York. And a lot of these places are shutting down now. A lot of these places are getting worse and worse. Here was a person who's finally waking up to this. Megyn Kelly says she's leaving New York City and taking her kids out of their woke $56,000 a year school after a letter circulated saying white kids are being indoctrinated in Black death and will grow up to be killer cops. Megyn Kelly revealed on her podcast on Monday that she and her family are leaving New York as she claims it has been taken over by woke leftivism. She said that her sons Edward 11 and Thatcher Bray 7 have already been pulled from the school. And it's really sad because of the fact that over and over and over again, this woke, how did you not know that New York was going to be this bad? I mean, New York has been so horrific. I mean, what was it? I don't even think the Sorbos, Sam Sorbo, who comes on Fridays at 4 p.m. and I believe Saturday at noon, and looking forward to her just being back into a regular schedule weekly if possible. I mean, but at all time, we're not rushing that. But they even lived in New York, I think, barely 2 months, 3 months before they wound up moving away. New York is not the glitz and glory, even though it is convenient to be there for filming and so much more. New York is the former glory. It's gone. It'll be nowhere near the way it used to be. Not even in the suburbs. I have family members who have left, who moved from New York to Arizona. I wish more of my family members would move out of New York and get away from that place because it's a death trap. Snake Klipskin is Klipskin. He's going to be showing up soon. Get ready for a whole bunch of Kurt Russells wearing their tight leather outfits and an eye patch and trying to shoot and kill a bunch of crazy folks in New York. That movie that came out decades ago was about to become a true reality for far too many people. And many of you don't think it's going to happen. Paz la vista, Jen. Have a great day. Thank you for being part of the network. But this is really scary for people that keep wanting to think that the big city is where you need to be. The ugly truth is the big city is not where you need to be. The ugly truth of this is that you see that everybody keeps thinking, and yes, they're homeschool your kids. I mean, the ugly truth is that sadly we can't protect. Now, okay, here's the reality: we can't protect our children from all the evil in the world because of the fact that, hey, if we're homeschooling, there's going to be some evil tendencies even in our own hearts that our children have to contend with. There are going to be even evil tendencies that are even in their own hearts that they're going to have to contend with. But the ugly truth about it is that this big city life that we keep thinking is great, it's not. It isn't. When you have to live in a city where they have to board up the windows because they have to because of the threat, not because of a hurricane, not because of a tornado, but because of violence from untamed, unschooled, and uninbred people, the big city is not where you live. Move out into the country. Move out into the rural areas and enjoy that life. Think about this. When Dave Chappelle decided to take off a couple of years and step away from his stardom and fame because he realized the glitz and glory wasn't all what it was cracked up to be. What did Dave Chappelle go off and do? He started a farm. He's not the only one. He's not the only actor who's gone out and bought a lot of land and stuff like that. Dave Chappelle is out there and he started his own thing. So when you sit here and you think about this, Dave Chappelle didn't move into the city. He didn't find a high rise. He didn't find a penthouse or anything like that. He moved out into the country to get away from the craziness. And it's the people, and think about this is what the people with all the money are doing, and we with little money are moving into the city, believing that that's going to be where our contentment and our happiness is going to be. The ugly truth about it is, and here's the other thing too that's really crazy, is that a lot of us are, okay, do I want Democrats to win? No, I don't. But a lot of us have bills to pay, and we're donating to political parties, whether Democrat, Republican, Libertarian. You're donating to these organizations, and you need to be paying your bills. You need to be providing for your families. You need to be taken care of. But you're so eager on trying to pay these people to control the country that you're not even controlling your own bank account and your own home. And all those, I don't care if it's $25. I don't care if it's $50. I don't care if it was even $5. Take care of your family now. We're about to go into a lockdown again now. And we keep thinking that we're just going to play happy feet and things are just going to go better. No, they're not. Be like what you see here with Megyn Kelly and so many more. Flee the big city as fast as you possibly can. Any of my friends who are listening, or anyone who's listening to me and you're inside of Indianapolis, get out now. And get out of Indianapolis as fast as you possibly can, because it's about to become Chicago 2.0, 3.0, 4.0, and 5.0. Get out of it as fast as you possibly can. The ugly truth is the big city is not where you're supposed to be. Here's the ugly truth. The big city is just lights and glamour and glitter. Like Vegas. Lights, glamour, and glitter. Sprucing up the city, ripe with corruption, ripe with gambling, ripe with alcoholism, ripe with prostitution, ripe with drug addiction, ripe with failure. Let's glitz it up with a whole bunch of shiny lights so no one's paying attention to the death on the streets, the dead people walking. And the city life poses as some kind of success when all it is nothing but. All it is nothing but death, death, death. We'll talk about death again. Here, check this one out. This is where you go to see and recognize how dead we are to the core inside. Holy cow. Zoom gloom. Rise of video calls that force people to regularly stare at their own faces has led to a record number of people seeking plastic surgery. Surgeons from Boston reported a rise in video call-driven body dissatisfaction. The leading complaints of Zoom dysmorphia center on noses and wrinkles. The team warned that webcams can negatively distort the appearance on faces. In 2019, experts found that 72% of cosmetic patients were looking to improve selfies. They were looking to improve selfies. In our self-absorbed nation, people want to spend money on making themselves look better. An external process and doing nothing about the internal thing. Yes, Raquel talked about putting lights on that tree. And again, it's about the external stuff, but it's not doing anything about the core. That tree needs life. If you could put, Miracle Grow, if you could put whatever it is, you can spruce up that tree. You could, for me, remember, again, as a believer, if I'm not putting the Word of God in me, if I'm not allowing the Word of God to transform my life, that's see, y'all like you like the hat, you like the voice, but honestly, I'm praying that it's the Spirit, that my spirit that has yielded in the Spirit of God is what speaks louder in me when you take a snapshot of whoever this Watson guy presents himself to be. I'm praying that when you look and you understand who I am, you understand that what speaks louder in me. I'm going to share something. I was going to share my post, but I'm going to share one of my a good friend, my best man's wife, just shared this earlier. O Lord, how great are your works. Your thoughts are deep and senseless. A senseless man does not know, nor does a fool understand this. Psalm 92, 5 and 6. I love that. My other verse that I shared for this morning, because this is where, as I sit here trying to reach out to many of you, and I want you to understand that sometimes the ugly truth is that we fall in love. We are enamored with people because of their personalities, and may the truth of who I am, but more than anything else, may the Spirit of God that I trust and yield to, not always successfully, but may the Spirit of God who resides with me, as a gift because of what Jesus did on the cross for my sake, for your sake, may His Spirit speak louder through me to you to help you recognize our need for Christ, our need for truth, our need to give glory to God in everything that we say and we do. But unfortunately, there are a lot of people who may come in the guise of pastor, preacher, teacher, and they're not about glorifying God. They're about their own glory. 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 1 through 3. But false prophets arose among the people, just as there will be false teachers among you, who will secretly bring in destructive heresies, even denying their master who brought them, bringing upon themselves swift destruction. And many will follow their sensuality. Because of them, the way of the truth will be blasphemed. And in their greed, they will exploit you with false words. They will condemn, and their condemnation from long ago is not idle, and their destruction is not asleep. There are people who will carry on in this guise of truth and righteousness, and their destruction is on the way because of the fact that they're nothing about righteousness. They're all about chaos. They're all about destruction. It's really sad because of the fact that we can allow these individuals to distract us. We can allow these individuals to try and break our spirit and break our resolve. But we have to have the word of truth. We have to be studies of the word of God, so that you could rightly divide the word of truth. You could rightly apply the word of God, appreciate and apprehend the word of God, and apply it in your life, so that when devils and demons and false preachers and false teachers show up, you thinking that you were having church, or you were just playing church. You thought that you had a relationship with God and you only had religion. Those are the different things that we want to get out of the way and make certain that that we are yielding to the Spirit of God, and we are, because the ugly truth about it is that this world, the ugly truth, here's the thing about it. This world is a temporary stay for those of us who believe in God, who believe and follow God, who yield to the Spirit of God and seek to grow every day in our lives. This is a temporary process. And honestly, for trying to fight for this world, we're posing. Actually, honestly, to tell you the truth, we should be fighting for the world we're going toward, for the world we're going to, for glory, for heaven, for God's glory, for God's kingdom, instead of fighting so much to protect and preserve this world. That's the ugly truth, is that honestly, when we spend more time fighting for this world than we do for the kingdom of God, we're posing as Christians. We're posing as Christians. When we're fighting for the glitz and the glory and everything like that. And am I saying you can't have glitz and glory, and glamour and stuff like that in this country? I mean, in this world, in this time, and in this life. I'm not saying you can't have that, but when that stuff preoccupies us more so than yielding to the Spirit of God, we're posing. It's an ugly truth. It's not something that we like to hear or entertain, but we have to yield to the Spirit of God. It's really sad because of the fact that, again, people are wanting to get cosmetics. They're wanting to get all this stuff done in their lives. And it's like, you're working on the external and God is wanting to work on the internal. Because when the internal is transformed, that's when you see a life that's about glorifying God. Praying for these individuals and pray that they'll walk away from this stuff here. Here's something actually big for a word of caution for a lot of my my Apple MacBook friends. So come to find out, Apple's new operating system, the Big Sur, SUR, is actually turning a lot of older MacBook Pros into bricks, into heavy duty paperweights. Some guy says, I knew I shouldn't have installed Big Sur on launch day, and yet here we are. So a lot of people are running into a problem where Apple rolled out its new operating system last week, and some users with older MacBook Pros are finding that their machines are getting destroyed as a result of this. So folks, before you do this, be cautious, understand. Make certain that you find out, will your system work? Because a lot of people are having to take their machines into Apple stores to get their machines replaced. So before you do upgrades, I'm praying that you actually backed up your data before you decided to do an upgrade of your system. If you've already done it and everything is down, I'm sorry, I don't know what to tell you. Hopefully you can get out to an Apple store and they can get you up and working as fast as you possibly can. Because again, the ugly truth is, not every update is a great thing. We were having a couple of problems even with my phone when we upgraded it to Mac OS 14. That was creating itself. iOS 14.2 really hosed up my phone, and we had to do a bunch of reboots to get it to finally work. But sometimes the new deal isn't always the good new deal. Sometimes the old faithful is what we need to stick with and just rely on this. Speaking of the ugly truth of this, here's one that I thought was very interesting out here. So the lockdown is on its way again, and Gavin Newsom decided they wanted to have a party at Michelin star restaurant, a birthday party, where he dined with 12 people, a group of 12, without wearing a mask, despite telling Californians they can only celebrate Thanksgiving outside. Here it is, Gavin Newsom. This is the thing about it that really, because my voice started getting louder, I have to be careful with this here. This is what I love about this, is that Gavin Newsom, a Democrat, a liberal progressive, who keeps getting elected, how, I don't know, but it's saying, do as I say, not as I do. So you remember the whole idea of the Democrats basically saying, well, because they keep saying President-elect Biden, which he's not President-elect yet. They keep saying that we should now come together in unity. Do as I say, not as I do. For 2 years, you were insulting Trump. For 4 years, 5 years, you were insulting Trump supporters. For you had just not even 2 weeks ago, you had Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and other Democrats basically saying we need to keep a list of all the people who are Trump supporters who did not want to get on the plan. Ugly truth about it is that the hypocrisy is so apparent, but for some strange reason, people don't want to see it. So here's an ugly truth that we have to accept. There are people who are just not going to accept the truth no matter how much data we provide for them. Stop fighting with them. Stop fighting with them and let them deal with the consequences of their own actions. And even now, you have Newsom's wife gets out and says, you know what? The lockdowns of what people are experiencing are making kids sad. You're busted, and you're now trying to go onto this campaign of making it seem like you really care for your constituents. You really care for Californians? Please. Busted once again, but somehow, some way, Newsom will be reelected. Somehow, some way, it's going to happen over and over and over again because of the fact, whoops, it's a little bit too soon on what I want to share with you. Somehow, some way, it's going to happen over and over and over again that these people in power will maintain power because of the fact that the people have been living in fear and they don't want to wake up. Folks, here's the ugly truth about it. People are inconsistent. People are hypocrites. But the one who isn't hypocritical is God. The one surety, the one peace, the one stability you can trust and rest in on is that God is the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. He doesn't waver. He doesn't waver because of political opinion or media influence. God's truth stays the same from beginning to end. And we can stop. So stop posing to impress the world. Stop posing to impress the world and start living to be obedient and serve God. This is not about impressing God. We can't impress God. All we can do is be obedient to him. But when we sit here and we try and live up to these hypocritical standards of all these other different politicians and leaders and stars and athletes, we find ourselves posing for people who don't care. All these people who voted for Newsom, he's my governor and he cares about us. Yeah, he cares so much. That Nancy Pelosi, that Barbara Boxer, and many of these other. What was it? You had eight California people who went to Hawaii. Political people, Democrats from California, flew to Hawaii for just to talk about politics. Jumped on a plane and traveled to Hawaii. So you sit here and you watch it, all these stuff that you keep thinking, all these people keep thinking that, hey, we're going to live up to this. We're going to elect these people who are going to be, who really care for us and everything like that. The ugly truth is that they don't. They don't care about you. And life is only going to be more and more miserable if you don't wake up to the reality that these people are nothing but a farce. You know what's not a farce? I'm going to tell you one of them. This is Cat Cooler. Check this thing out. This is not a farce.
When the world is going to hell in a handbasket, you need rugged. You need strong. You need durable. You need Cat Coolers. These are the best coolers on the market in 27, 55, and 88 quart. Go to catcoolers.com and give them the code Watson to save 10% on your purchase. Don't settle for those substandard containers that melt, leak, and destroy your memorable moments. Tell them that Watson from Battle4Freedom sent you. Cat Coolers.
Cat Coolers. So let me end this day off in a proper way because this is going to be a little bit on the cute and funny side. So, I try and do this with the attitude of gratitude and sharing funny stories and everything like that. Share a story with me if you can to b4faog@gmail.com. because I wanna share this one with you. This one is really funny because I'm gonna do this quickly. Daddy Dangerous Care. Father sets up hilarious Instagram account showing his baby daughter in perilous situations to prank his worried girlfriend at work. So this dad is going through these various pictures. It shows the kid that's on the moon. Here is one. It shows the kid actually operating a chop saw. Here is one. The kid, so this is some great Photoshop work where the dad is actually, they're walking a tightrope. The daughter's actually cleaning the house. Here is one basically operating a drill going towards a socket. That one is really crazy. Here's another one I thought was really cute about the kid sitting there with a shotgun over their shoulder, a lightsaber, and the last one is sitting here looking at a socket. Listen, folks, either way, there's ways that we get around the ugly truth by us being better than the craziness. I'm your host, Watson Premium from Battle4Freedom. Brad Staggs and Daily Mojo's up next. I'm out. I'm done. I'm kaput.